Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in to the BMOC, the Big Men on Campus podcast. No Ian Cameron today, just myself joining you here live on a Friday, November 17, 2017, ready to break down the Friday card for today. Hopefully, we can find some winners, all for free, no questions asked. I do want to get a little housekeeping out of the way. I'm going to be doing some things on Monday, kind of starting with this show at 5 o'clock. I'm going to do if you're familiar with kind of some of the things that I've tried to introduce, I'm going to introduce call-ins. If you want to call in and talk about a game, it'll be something that allows us to kind of meet some people maybe that we haven't met before, or if it'll be me. I mean, I'm the only person, so I'd love to do like a call-in kind of thing. You have people call in and discuss the games they want to talk about, or if they have a an issue, a concern, a question, they could call in and voice those. So we had it on the late night on campus. It was pretty fun. So it's something I might introduce. Also going to have Ian Cameron obviously a lot more. So we'll do that as well. So I urge you, if you're out there, say hello in the chat. It's Friday. I questioned if I'd do a show on Friday here, just because normally during the season there's a lot of there's not a lot of games on Friday, but early on, as these tournaments are getting going, there is a lot of basketball. So, we'll keep Fridays going for as long as we can. Do me a favor. If you haven't liked the show, please do it. Like, subscribe, comment after the fact. I could try to get back to you always. It's my own channel, so I'll try to get to you as much as I can. If you have someone that might like the show, please tell them about it. I'd love to welcome in anyone. And we could talk basketball. All you guys in here, welcome in. I appreciate it. Let's do a little recap what went on earlier today. I did give out one play, Illinois State. This is one of those games. It happens in basketball where you don't particularly play bad, you just don't shoot well, and that was Illinois State. I mean, didn't turn the ball over. Didn't sleep or do anything like that. They just didn't shoot the ball well the whole game. And, basketball at this level, when you're dealing with an Illinois State, they're not a team that's going to come out and just bury in the second half and come back in a game. It's not the NBA. Look, those happen. What are you going to do? That one goes down, but what are you going to do? If you're following along at home, 22-11 on the season, all for free, 67%. So, look, if you come in here and talk shit, I'm just going to get rid of you. So hopefully the people enjoy the information and you guys are making money. A couple other games, I'm kind of hurt, and annoyed because there were games that I liked that didn't move on, that you just kind of early starts kind of threw me off. And, I even mentioned, like, I was on Gabe's show for a little last night and people asked me about the Bradley game. And I thought 7, 8 points is too many. I liked Old Dominion. Temple's a team that I enjoy and I root for. So, Mercer was an interesting one. There's a lot of games that I liked that I kind of just picked the wrong game. So that happens. 0-1. We'll see where it goes. But let's get into some of the games tonight that I'm on. I got to be honest, guys. I don't particularly like the card too much. There's not a ton out there. There's a lot of added games as far as a lot of points being laid. And most of the games on the regular card are tournament games and things like that. So I actually only have 2 games that I'm officially betting. As far as some of the other games, I'll surely give a lean and kind of how I'm feeling with them. But I'll give out the 2 that I'm on tonight. First one's going to be first game I'm going to be betting is the Dayton Flyers. I'm going to back them here -3.5 against Ohio. I actually liked Hofstra yesterday, but I think this matchup here in the Charleston Classic for Dayton is a good one. Basketball is all about matchups, and how will the team play against the other team offensively and defensively, and that's why for me it's a lot of the time about watching these teams. Last night I actually spent a little time watching Dayton's game yesterday against Hofstra, and kind of what they want to do and what they're going to be able to do. And you look at this game, I think for Dayton, you want them to play teams that aren't particularly good in the front court. A team that lacks size, because they have guys like, Josh Cunningham that really will do well when there's not a big down low. And the big news for Ohio is their best player, Jason Carter's out with an injury. And he's really how that team goes through him. They lost Jaron Simmons last year from a transfer. So, they're really struggling. They played well yesterday against Clemson, which was kind of surprising, but I definitely think the guard play that they have, the length that Dayton has on the perimeter, will do a good job on some of the decent guards that Ohio has. I would imagine Cunningham will play well down low. He's not going to have a ton of people in this Ohio team that can guard him. And you look at a kid that they have on the team on Ohio or on Dayton, Antetokounmpo's brother, the Greek Freak 2.0. He's a kid that is really long like his brother. He can defend on the perimeter as well. So I do think Ohio will struggle to do anything good in this game. Not only stop Cunningham, but score the basketball. I think the zone that Grant can use will be troublesome to Ohio here. I think Dayton is just a better team, and I think Cunningham is a pretty big game here. So I'm going to lean with and go with Dayton minus the 3 in this game, minus 3.5 in this game against the Ohio Bobcats, a team that definitely lost some pieces last year that I'm not particularly high on. I want to do a couple shout outs. Shout out to Susanna, JK, Joe, Jeff Ogden, YYC Golfer, Maxwell Smart. Maxwell Smart lost in Houston. What a terrible loss. Yeah, Drexel's plays well. They're playing well right now. Spiker's got a pretty decent team there. They have a couple kids back from last year. Houston just kind of asleep at the wheel. They're a team that they'll do that from time to time. Joel McDonald, what's up? Make America Great Again. Well, you're going to have to change that name, pal. I don't really want to say that on a regular basis, but welcome in. Emza, thank you. Ace King, what's up? King Al, GG. All good, big man. You're making us all cash. Keep up the good work. Thank you, man. I will try. Thank you, Robert. Welcome in from Slovenia. Robert from Slovenia. Welcome in, my friend. Corey Jean, welcome. Kyle Hamburg, Wake Forest not looking good. What do you think? Yeah, I actually like Drake in that game. That was a game I was going to add at the end. Just kind of a lean that I like. I like Drake. I think Nico Medved's a good coach. He's got a couple guards that can really bother Wake Forest. Wake Forest is terrible. They lose, so many players last year, and Danny Manning's group has some trouble right now. But I mean, it is a step up in class. Wake is the better team, but 10 points is way too many. Johnny Fiorenza, what's up? Cameron, Lucky, what's up, Lucky? Lucky, we got to get in touch, my man. I should be in Philly soon. We'll link up. Thomas, what's up? Tate, Tiffany, welcome in. So yeah, first play for me, I'm going to go with the Dayton Flyers. That's an official pick for me, minus 3.5. The other game I'm going to go with, which I already sent that last night. It was an overnight line for me. Arizona State minus 23.5 against the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. This one's up to 24.5, and I'll mention it is. It would still be a play for me at that number, but I originally got 23.5, and that's where I played it, so that's where it will count for me. But I do recommend 24.5 if you can get that number as well. This is a real good spot for Arizona State to really continue their hot offensive play. I've been really impressed with Hurley's team so far. You look at the first game. I mean, they did what they had to do against the Idaho State Bengals. Win by 20 there. Put up 94 in that game. But then they followed up with just a superb second half against the San Diego State Aztecs. Aztecs really did kind of whatever they wanted in the first half, and it was an impressive game for the Sun Devils. I mean, they come out, outscore them 56-28 in the second half, and really just do everything right. I think it's impressive that they've gotten back a little bit to playing some better defense. I love their guard play. They have some fantastic guard play due Arizona State, with Trey Holder and Shannon Evans and Remy Martin. They also have Romello White back from injury, which is huge. And they've gotten some really good play out of Daquan Lake, a kid that they brought in as a transfer. 15 minutes against San Diego State, put in 15 points, grabbed 7 rebounds. You're starting to see a pretty complete team out there. I'm not ready to say Arizona State will compete or get to the tournament, but I think they have a decent basketball team, and I think they really take it to the state camaraderie here in the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. A little about Northern Arizona. They're off of To me, possibly the most embarrassing loss I've ever seen at this level. Northern Arizona is off a loss by 12 to Embry-Riddle. Embry-Riddle is a third, actually a fourth level NAIA team. They actually came in to Flagstaff and beat Northern Arizona by 12. Northern Arizona was up big in the game. They blew the lead and ended up losing by 12. To me, it's one of the worst losses I've seen at this level. Like I said, yeah, it's a pilot school. Exactly. It's an aeronautical kind of school. None of these kids are going to play at another level. Most of these kids play basketball to stay in shape, probably. They go in and beat a Division I team. You can argue that Northern Arizona is a bottom 30 team in the country. They're really poor. They have limited talent. And I think they're going to get absolutely slapped in the face in this game. Bobby Hurley is a guy that throughout the years that I've noticed at Arizona State, and this is what you get watching a team. Bobby Hurley plays to the 40-minute whistle. I mean, he doesn't stop playing. He's not going to not run a score up. I just see this one out of hand. I think it's a 30, 34-point win here, if not more. I expect Arizona State to get into the 90s again, and I sure as shit don't see the Lumberjacks scoring 65, 70. I just don't see it. 23.5, I think they get crushed. I'm going to lay the points here at home with the Sun Devils. By the way, guys, if you're ever interested in if I watch these games, I would highly recommend when you have a game like this, Northern Arizona, Arizona State, put the bet in, know when the game starts, and just don't worry about it. In 2 hours, look at the score, and most of the time you'd be pretty happy. So save yourself the trouble because what will happen is the game will start out. It's like 8-4, and you're like, "What the fuck? This isn't going to hit." They're playing well, the underdog, and they'll pull away. Just don't watch it. Go do something with your girl or go out or something and come back. So yeah, those are my plays tonight. I'm going to go Arizona State minus 23.5, and I'm going to go with the Dayton Flyers at minus 3.5. Keep in mind, Dayton is in a neutral location. Arizona State is at home. Wanted to go through a couple other games, just kind of give my opinion on them. I think they're intriguing. I might put very small amounts in these games. Let's look at them here. Interesting game out in Kansas. Kansas laying 21.5 against the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. You can actually get a 22.5. So if you like South Dakota State, which if I had to play this game, I think this might be a little bit too many points, but I was hoping I'd get it more or less in like the 25 range, 22.5, 21.5, little low. But if things go right, which right now with Kansas, I don't think this is a terrible matchup for the Jackrabbits. If you know anything about the Jackrabbits, Mike Daum is possibly, to me, the best player in the country. Nobody knows about him, but he's a great player. I mean, a big kid, he can shoot the three ball, dominate down low. And I got to be honest, I think the one problem right now for Kansas is the limited front court. I mean, they have very limited front court players right now. Azubuike is obviously the best, but Billy Preston's out, suspension. He's out for the foreseeable future. They don't have a ton down low. If South Dakota State can somehow get Abuzier in foul trouble, Mike Daum could keep them in this game. I'm saying keep them in this game. They're not going to win. I mean, it's in Lawrence, and they're not gonna go in there and beat them. But I want to think that they can hang in this game. The concern for me is last year, it's pretty much the same South Dakota State team, and they had limited success against better teams last year, though they did play Gonzaga pretty well in their tournament game. You look at some of their games this year, beat UC Irvine by 11, pretty solid win. And they beat Alabama State by 31, which they took care of business, which is impressive. So I could see a situation. The question is, the guard play could be really good. I mean, Kansas has great guard play. They could really bother South Dakota State all night. But I want to think that Daum can keep them in this game. Gun to my head, I would take the Jackrabbits at the 22.5 at Intertops. But for me, I'll be watching this one. I'm hoping Daum can have a big game because I really enjoy him. He is a really, really good player. Guys, it's so interesting. I love giving players, the respect that they deserve. And Michael Daum is a guy that doesn't get any respect. I mean, you know, he's a kid that goes to a small school. He's, you know, just doesn't get talked about very much. But I think we have to give him a little like success. And I want you to listen to what I'm telling you because it's truly amazing. Mike Daum is a junior. Okay, he's got another year at South Dakota State, and he's on pace to become the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history, not just at his school, in history. So during that season next year, in his senior year, he is going to eclipse that record. And you have to ask why people don't talk about him. And I want to shout out to the great people at dribblehandoff.com, one of my favorite websites, website that I enjoy reading, and it really gives you some great information. But they did a study recently about Mike Daum, kind of explaining how good he really has been. And over the last 20 years, Mike Daum is only the second player to average at least 25 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, while shooting 50% on twos and 40% on threes. So you see how dynamic his game really is. The only other player to do that was Kevin Durant. So you wonder where the love is here. I don't know why I don't see it. I mean, you look at his output over the years. I mean, in his freshman year, 15 points a game. Last year, 25.1 points a game. This year, where's he going to be? In the 30s? It's impressive. Daum's a kid that gets no respect, but on my shows, he will get respect. Michael Daum is a fantastic player that needs to get love. Any reason you didn't go back to well with Washington? Because I didn't think they played particularly well yesterday. I don't like them defensively at all. I think they are a team that was lucky to hang in that game last night. And I think Virginia Tech's a pretty damn good basketball team. And I think they're going to blitz Washington. But I just didn't really – it's just early start, quick off the feet, quick off the dribble. Got to get back at it today. Just not a game I really liked. But I probably would have took Virginia Tech, frankly. But I do like Washington. They're a team I'm going to watch all year. I like Noah Dickerson a lot. I like their guard play. They're a team that will probably be on my sheet. They'll get better defensively, but I think Virginia can shoot against that zone, and I didn't think it was a good matchup, really. I'll be interested to see how they played tonight against Kansas, which would be interesting. A game that I considered also, and I may even still consider it. It's a late night game, so if you're out there and you enjoy my tips, I'd highly recommend maybe checking in a little later with me. I'll be on Gabriel Morency's show at around 11 o'clock. I'll be honest, I do like San Diego State tonight, but I feel like I want to see how they play on the defensive end because I was a little perturbed about their second half against Arizona State. They are playing McNeese State, and they're in a good spot here back at home in Viejas Arena. San Diego State is a new coach, Brian Dutcher, but if you know anything about the program, he's been there for many years under Steve Fisher. He's introduced a new offense. I don't think they're going to have any issues covering numbers this year, but this number is a little bit out of the realm for San Diego State. They're usually a team that struggles on offense, great on defense. This is really a game I need to see them really come in and lock down their opponent. I may move on this game, frankly. I think offensively they're really going to pound McNeese State. I actually ranked McNeese State last in the Southland this year. I picked them to be the worst team in that conference, and I think they're really going to be up against it, especially off such a poor performance San Diego State had against ASU. I think to come out here and really take it to McNeese State. McNeese State really, it's limited. They don't belong on this level really, and I'd expect SDSU to come out with some real fervor in their game after the poor performance last week. So I would stay in touch. Maybe I'll get on this one. Douglas Lee, I love all your shows. You're the best. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate you checking me out. Thank you, Russell. Appreciate it. We went 4-0 last night, so it worked out for us here. Like I said, if you're following along at home, 22-11, 67%. Would I take Arizona State minus 25? I mean, look, I like the number I got. I mean, as every half point at a number like this matters. I think they win by 30. So do I want to co-sign 25? Because now you really need to win by 26 to win your bet. You're starting to lose value. This is why on games like this, they're better off being bet beforehand as opposed to waiting. No offense, Russell. If you're waiting this late to bet games like this, you I'm not saying you should do your homework better, but you definitely should maybe look at some of the overnight options just because you're losing a lot of value. I mean, every half point and point batters in games like this, I don't think it will matter. I think they'll win by 30 plus. So I guess, but I have the number I got, so I'm happy with that. Do I think Duke covers 41.5? Actually, I looked at this game, frankly. It's all about the opponent, first of all. Southern is a decent SWAC team. They're not bad. They're not terrible. They're top 3 in that conference. They've made the tournament before. They have a pretty good player in Jared Sam down low. Chris Thomas is a pretty good wing player. They did do decent in the transfer market, Southern University, but, I mean, the talent level here is really unexplainable. Not really. I mean, I'm not taking either side because I could see a situation where Coach K will, I mean, these guys will play till halftime and then everyone will come in back end and, who knows how they'll play. But the second unit for Duke is 3 or 4 times better than the first unit for Southern. So, but 41.5 is a lot of points. You basically need a 105-55 type of game, which you probably could get here. I mean, I wouldn't be betting against Duke, but could I see them winning 101-71? Yeah. I could see them winning 101-59 too. So it's tough. I mean, I kind of liked North Florida last night, and look at that one. I mean, they're getting 36 points. They lose by 40. So, I mean, I don't think people understand the talent discrepancies between these teams. And I'd urge all of you, every one of you on this chat, go out and watch, if you have a half an hour, Real Sports with Brian Gumbel did a piece on HBCUs, not only in football, but in basketball that do these pay-for-play games. And it was pretty sad, frankly. It's a shame in this country how HBCUs really get the short end of the stick, like always. And the same bullshit mantra of, well, they're not good at academics because they're this or that or whatever. No, the reason they're not good at academics and they get on probation is because the money-hungry universities are forced as HBCUs to go and face 10 straight really good opponents to get paid. And, these kids' grades suffer because of it. It's a shame. People need to speak up for these HBCUs, the MEAC, the SWAC. Why doesn't anyone else have to do this stuff? Ohio doesn't have to do it. Wyoming doesn't have to do it. Why do these HBCUs have to do it? They literally have to play night after night after night and get their ass kicked every night. Most of these kids aren't playing at the next level. I urge all of you, go watch that. It's really eye-opening. And as bettors, I mean, we'll take advantage of the situations, but I think from a morale standpoint, it's pretty pathetic, frankly. And I'm not going to bring up race, but, I mean, let's be real with ourselves here. It's true. It's a shame. People should do something about it. People should give, there's no big donors for these schools. There's no boosters. It's unfair, really. But I guess, hey, if you want to play basketball, that's what you have to do. So, yeah, look, I mean, that's so many points, but Duke could very well win by, I mean, would it surprise anyone if Duke wins, 106-46? I mean, Duke's just so much better. Arkansas minus 13.5. I've actually liked how they've played this year. I've actually really liked how they played this year. But Fresno's a pretty good team. I think this is definitely a step up in competition from what they've faced so far. Look, I like Bucknell a lot, but Fresno's getting some good basketball players, some of those, kind of Bay Area players and that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't have much opinion on that game, to be honest, Chief. I think a good game if you have 5 dimes and you're able to bet added games. A game that I'm going to be interested in watching is Yale-Albany. I think Albany's a pretty decent play against the Bulldogs. Makai Mason's not playing for Yale right now. He's their best player. Albany's really good. Albany's a team that could beat Vermont this year up in the America East Conference. They're really well coached under Will Brown. They have two of the best guards duo-wise in the country in Cremo and David Nichols. They've gotten some great performances from their front court, and I actually really like Albany tonight in this game. The only reason I'm really not giving it out is because I want to kind of stay away from giving these out to you guys, just because I know some of you don't have 5 dimes and it's kind of unfair. And as many know, I'm a man of the people, and I want to make sure people can bet these. But if you have 5 dimes, I would take a shot with Albany in this game. I think they're the better team. Yale's a team right now that's definitely missing their best player. And this Albany team's pretty good. They're at home. Should have a great crowd on hand for a pretty good game tonight. This should be a mid-major game that I'd really be kind of interested in. Do you have any feeling on the St. Louis Billikens getting points against Providence? Yeah. I mean, frankly, I think Providence finally gets, has a real complete game here. I like Ian Cameron's Billikens here. I think they're a decent team. They're going to have a good future with Travis Ford. But last night and the night before, Providence has been kind of mired in the 2-game set where it was frustrating. They didn't play well. Met a better team in Minnesota at home the other night. They're missing Emmett Holt a lot. They need that guy down low, and they haven't had it. And even last night it hurt them. Dickerson played well in that game. That would have been quickly stopped if Holt was in the game. But I think you should see a pretty strong performance tonight from Providence. I would look to back them here. They'll have the crowd support. It's pretty close to a home game if you have one. And I think this is where St. Louis will go away, crawl away. They're not on this level. I would imagine Providence will win by double digits, if you're asking me my opinion. Yeah, so I see Washington's getting crushed, which doesn't surprise me, like I said. Yeah, well, then I would take a shot then with Albany, because you maybe throw it in a parlay or something. You get a minus 160 on the money line or something. Iona Weber State. Any thoughts in the Bahamas? Sure. Iona's really a great guard team. They have some great guards. Shadrick Kashmir. They're well coached, and they did a great job last year in the Great Alaska Shootout. They went out to Alaska and won that tournament, which was impressive. The problem that Iona has, and I've mentioned this before, all year they're going to have a problem in the front court because they don't really have much front court play now that Jordan Washington's gone. They're going to struggle against teams that have big men. And you look at their opponent tonight, Weber State. Weber State has very good front court players. There's not a lot of players on Iona, whether it be TK Adoji, who is kind of new to this team. Can he come in and guard them? He's not going to play a lot of minutes. I have the feeling this game is going to be high scoring. I don't think Iona will struggle as much from three as they've had. I think Zach Braxton and Brecott Chapman really do a lot of work on Iona's front court here. I would lean over, frankly. I think this is a pretty high-scoring basketball game. I think both offenses really be able to do what they want to do. It's a high total, but Weber State generally goes pretty quick. Like I said, they should have some easy opportunities down low. Iona will shoot better from the field, which is something that they struggled in. I don't know. It's tough. I lean over, but I don't have a real feel on the side. What is this number? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough game, personally. Plus, it's in the Bahamas. I'm always skeptical to back a team. Here's one thing you have to look at. Whether you're in college football or college basketball, it's a little secret for you guys. When you're betting these tournaments or bowl games even, you have to look at the location. Iona did well last year, but the game was in Alaska. There's nothing to do in Alaska. It's a lot like, New York, where they're from. So, as far as weather, so there's not much to do. You take Iona, who's full of kids from New York and New Jersey and Massachusetts and that area. You send them down to the Bahamas, most of them for the first time. And then he sent a bunch of kids from Utah out to their Bahamas trip. Um, a common sports betting theme that I've learned many years ago is you really just have to think about it when you were 18 or 19 and you would go to a place like this. You're not necessarily worried about your work or um, you know, what you have to concentrate on. You're worried about beaches, blondes, and bikinis, and beer probably, and bad food, and really everything that you don't want. Uh, Jet skis and boat trips and beaches and all that stuff. It's tough, especially for teams like this. These are not high level programs. These are not Dukes or Kansas that go to these tournaments and it's a business trip. They go there to play basketball. These are kids at the end of the day. So I don't normally get involved with these kind of teams in these kind of locations. It's just not a betting proposal that I want to bet on. Thank you for always keeping it real. No problem, Rod. We unfortunately as a culture don't stand up. A lot of people just want to, well, I don't want to offend anyone. I'm not offending anyone. I'm just telling you what I think's unfair. You know, it's the truth. I mean, I can make a comment that, people make all the time. Why is there black entertainment television, but not if there was a white entertainment television, that would be racist? It's true, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't politically correct, but I'm a man of every people. I like everybody. I don't care who you are. And that's why I think that no matter who you are, you should be able to live in freedom and harmony and be able to do what you want to do. And that's why, for me, this is a good country, because not another country you can do that. I just think we should speak up for the kids that you really get walked all over, you know, teams like Southern and teams like that. Um, Yeah, I don't have the rotation number. I jumped off, unfortunately. I'm not on five dimes anymore. It's one of the last games on the card on five dimes, college extra. Um, do I take Pepperdine as a home dog? Um, I wouldn't. And Pepperdine stinks. And I actually don't mind that Northern Colorado team. I think they're really well coached under Jeff Linder. I wouldn't. Pepperdine's another team. They had decent talent, several years ago, but Stacey Davis, those kind of players. But no, not really. I would consider taking Northern Colorado there, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't be interested in the Waves. Um, why is Florida State only laying 14 to Fordham? Uh, well, because Florida State has limited talent this year. They did lose a lot. You know, Jonathan Isaac. A lot of players. They still have decent talent, but I don't know. I didn't really. Terrence Mann's a good player. I haven't looked much into that game, honestly. I don't know that it's too much. I think it's probably what they should be laying to Fordham. Jeff Neubauer's an okay coach. They always play hard up there. Played pretty good defense. I don't know. I didn't really look much into that game, buddy, but I don't know that it's too much. I think it's kind of just right. They have a kid, Joseph Chertunoy. He's a really good player. You know, I could see him maybe keeping them in the game. A lot of foreign players as well. You always like, I always when you back a team with a lot of foreign players, there's one thing that you can count on. Well, you can count on a lot of things, but one thing you can always count on: very good basketball IQ. Generally, most of these kids from Montenegro and Czech Republic and Slovenia and Turkey, a lot of them have been playing basketball for a long time. And Chertunoy is a really good player, French kid from Quebec. So, you know, it's a question of do you want to get involved with Fordham? Thank you, Robin. Appreciate it, man. What about New Mexico State? Yeah, I like that team a lot. They're a team that I've mentioned. I think they're pretty much the favorite out in the WAC conference. I think they're a well coached team. They lose Marvin Menzies, but they bring in Chris Jans after Paul Weir, who took the job at New Mexico. And they start out 1-1, but their loss was to St. Mary's, who they actually played pretty well in that game. So I don't really knock that effort. I got to tell you, I like New Mexico State a lot. I think they're really talented. Bringing in Zach Lofton from Texas Southern was huge. Sidney Andier, Eli Chua, Jamario Jones. I really like them a lot. I think they're the favorite out in the WAC, like I said. And you have to figure this is an in-state game. They will be pumped up for this one. It's a home game. This is a huge game on their schedule, a game that they pretty much circled right away, I'd imagine. And I don't really like anything New Mexico does. They're a rebuilding team. They have limited talent. Their wins are against Northern New Mexico and Omaha. And yeah, they scored 147 and 103, but I mean, Omaha doesn't play any defense, and Northern New Mexico is, they're a nobody. So I think they're going to get humbled in this game. But would I lay 5.5 points? No. I'm not really sure I see why I would lay 5.5 points here. Should be a close game. But I think if I was getting 5.5 points, yeah, I would definitely take it, but I can't lay 5.5. What's up, CC? How you doing, pal? Salam alaikum. Inshallah, hopefully everything's doing well for you, my friend. Stay in touch. Salam to you. Washington can't make a simple dunk. Well, you shouldn't have taken them, Pesos. I mentioned earlier that I like the underdog or the favorite. I'm sorry, but the game had already started. Can you please talk about Iowa State? Why are you saying "my God" BMOC? Can you please talk? Yeah, did I not see you? I mean, what do you want from me? Yeah, settle down, Juwan. No need to tell people to shut up. We'll get to everybody. Iowa State. Let's take a look. I actually like them here against Tulsa. I like what they did at the guard position. They have limited scoring talent, but moving Nick Weiler-Babb to the point was a good idea. Lindell Wigginton wasn't ready to run the point for Iowa State, and that showed early on in the season. This would be a good game. I mean, Tulsa's a team that, look, they lost to Lamar, but that was just one of those games. I think Tulsa's a pretty good defensive team. Junior E2 is a really good player. They played really well against Western Michigan yesterday for the most part. I would lean Iowa State, but I don't really feel comfortable laying points at them right now. So it's going to be a pass for me. But I do like the move from putting Wigginton away from the point guard position and putting Weiler-Babb at the point. And that's a good coaching move. So for me, I would do that. But it's not one I'd really venture put money on. Chill out, Kyle. All right, I'll get to it. I'm going to get to every game, dude. You don't run the show here. I will get to it, just like I just did. I was thinking Northwestern or Northeastern might be a good play against Stanford. I don't know about that. Stanford's off of that bad loss to the Eastern Washington Eagles. I'd imagine their antennas will be up. Northeastern, a team out of the Colonial Conference that, I mean, they're not as strong as once were. Stanford has really good players, Reed Travis and those kind of players. But I mean, you're only getting 8 points, and that's not enough for me, especially for a game that is in Stanford. I mean, I'm not really sure why you would like Northeastern there, especially off of Stanford's poor play. I'm definitely one to back a team off of a poor game, a poor showing. I think Stanford pounds them to be honest with you. I'm actually decently high on Stanford, so them losing to Eastern Washington was a pretty poor. And Northeastern is like a very low level Colonial team. They're like really like kind of towards the middle to the bottom. So I actually like Stanford there. Okay, we'll get to it. Stanford is a tough team to read, but I think they're way better than Northeastern. And they're at home here. This isn't a big number either. But you look at Stanford's next couple games in UNC and Florida. I believe it's in that that PK80 tournament, I think, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I would lean them, especially off of that loss. Let's see what else we have here. And you look at the first two games for Stanford. I mean, they played well in both of them. He scored 78 and 89, so they should be able to run away in this one and win by double digits. Can UNLV cover today? UNLV's definitely stepping up in class here. Eastern Washington's a good team, as we saw. But the book's out for them. Menzies will be prepared in this game. But UNLV's stepping up in class. They played Florida A&M and Prairie View A&M. So, I mean, there's not a lot of talent with both those teams. And now they're going to face a team that has legitimate talent. So, no, that's a stay away from me. Did I talk about Ole Miss? No, I didn't. And to be frank with you, I don't really have much on Ole Miss today. So, sorry, but I don't have anything on that one. We'll do a couple more here, and then we'll wrap it up. Couple of the big numbers today. UCLA's laying a gigantic number, but South Carolina State is terrible. I could see a situation where UCLA just takes some frustration out and pounds. But then again, Central Arkansas is pretty bad too, and they weren't able to do anything against them. So who knows? Limited depth right now for UCLA, but I can't bring myself to bet on the Bulldogs in that game. Oregon's playing Alabama State. Oregon struggled to roll teams this year. 33.5 is a lot of points, but Alabama State is a dreadful team. They're a team out of the SWAC, which is a conference that I normally bet against Power 5 teams. Oregon, this should be a game where they go ahead and really lay the lumber. I mean, they're off a win against Prairie View, won by 33. So I don't see any reason they don't win by 40, especially at home. Alabama State, I mean, this is another one of those teams that plays everybody. I mean, you look at the schedule for Alabama State. Listen to this. Now, this is from the 10th until today. So 7 days. This is what their schedule was. They played at Mississippi State, got beat by 29, I'm sorry. Went to Iowa, lost by 34. Then got on a plane, went to South Dakota, lost by 31. Now you head over into the Pacific Northwest, all in 7 days, 4 games in 7 days to play Oregon. Oregon first half might be the play of the fucking day. What do I think about Wake without Collins? We talked about that earlier. I think Wake sucks. I would lean Drake in that game. Early prediction, who do I have in the Final Four? Duke, Florida, Arizona, and probably Villanova. But that's, a week into the season. But I really like Florida. I think they're a team that, I think when they get Chios is fully healthy, when they get John Egbunu back, I mean, they're already playing well without Egbunu, so I think sky's the limit. I think some of the sleeper teams I really like are St. Mary's, Wichita, kind of the normal teams. Miami, there's a lot of teams I like. Yeah, that PK80 tournament's going to be sick. I mean, what a great idea. I'll do one more here and then we'll wrap it up. I'm kind of getting tired of my mouth's getting tired. I've had no water. I'm thirsty. I'm parched. Purdue, they don't even play tonight. If you're going to send in games, make sure the team plays tonight. I don't see Purdue. So yeah, that'll be it. So for me tonight, guys, I gave up plenty of free info. The 2 games I'm going to be on is Dayton -3.5 and Arizona State -23.5. So yeah, that's that. Look out for me tonight on the Gabe Morency show. I'll be on around 11 o'clock. Got to go get a haircut here. about 10 o'clock, and then I'll be home and get on. So join us. We'll go over some college football, and as always, we go over all sorts of stuff. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment. I'll be back on this show Monday at 5 p.m. We'll maybe take some calls, see if we get anyone to call in and talk about the game. So enjoy your weekend. Keep abreast of Twitter. I might put a play or two out later tonight, and I'll have some plays tomorrow as well. Hopefully we can keep the good mojo going here in the college basketball ranks. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you next time here on the Big Men on Campus podcast. Bye-bye.